The first law is make it obvious. Okay, it might sound obvious, but let's talk through it. Make it obvious. Make the habit obvious. But to do that, he says first, why don't you just identify your habits? And you can make a list. I've never done this where I've made a list. I've thought of the habits in my mind, but you can identify good habits, what's good, what's neutral, and what's bad. So when you identify your habits like this, it actually then, you're more self-aware. And this is an important part of being a Muslim, that self-awareness. It's kind of like that muhasabah, self-interrogation, self-evaluation. What good habits do I have? What's neutral? And what bad habits do I have? So identifying them helps you to know where you want to start off. So your habits are so automatic that you don't even realize you have them. That's the thing. So you're becoming conscious of these habits that you probably have never thought about. There are things you do. When you wake up, there are certain habits that you have. When you go to work, you have certain habits, or when you go to school, you have certain habits. So making yourself conscious of those habits then help you to work towards, either making them better, improving them, or stopping them. So become conscious of your habits. And as I said, you can make a list if you like, or just be more consciously living through your day to see what kind of habits you have and, what you would want to possibly change. Now, when you want to change a habit, what's really important, and this is part of that law, remember we said make it obvious. What's really important is to be specific. So often we say, I want to do this, I want to do that, but we're not being very specific with what we want to do. I say, I will, a habit that I want or a goal that I have is I will read more Quran. It's a great new habit to form, but because it's not specific, the chances of me actually achieving that is going to be much, much lower. Okay. So this is where you need to be specific with time and place, because when you do specify time and place, the chances of you achieving that are much greater. For example, rather than saying I will read more Quran, I say I will read 2 pages of Quran in the spare room at 2 p.m. So you've specified what you're going to do, how much of it you're going to do, what time and where. So it's very specific, and that's a really powerful approach. Another one, I will fast more. So you might want to do more sunnah fasting outside of Ramadan, and you have this ambition to fast more. Again, that's something you might say. But instead of saying that, you might want to be more specific and say, I will fast every second Monday. Okay. So you see there that you've more specific with the date, because if you say I want to fast more, what does that mean? Another one is I will call my mum more often. So you don't live with your mum and you feel like you should call your mum or your dad or both more often. Rather than saying I want to call them more often, specify I will call my mum on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 12 p.m. Okay. So when you've specified it, more likely to happen. Another one, I will do more dhikr. So you want to do more dhikr throughout your day? Rather than saying I will do more dhikr, you might say I will listen to the morning adhkar each morning I drive to work. So again, it's very specific. You know exactly what you've got to do and when you have to do it. So identifying a place and a time really makes it more doable, or you are more likely to start creating good habits if you identify time and place. Another important or an amazing strategy is stack your new habit on an existing habit. Like, as I mentioned, we've all got habits. We've all got existing habits that we do. Like, for example, in the morning, we all brush our teeth. Most of us do anyway. So we brush our teeth. That's a habit that we have. So if you want to create a new habit around the morning, the breakfast, morning time, you could stack a habit on top of that. For example, say I want to floss more. I can say after I brush my teeth, I will floss my teeth. So, or before I brush my teeth. So you stack a new habit on an existing habit. So from an Islamic perspective, it might be, I will read more Quran. So that's again a bad example. It's very vague. But if you say, I will read 2 pages of Quran after every Maghrib prayer, it's very you've already praying Maghrib, let's inshallah. So you're already praying Maghrib. So because you're doing that, you're stacking a new habit on top of an existing habit. And so you're saying, I will read 2 pages of Quran after every Maghrib prayer. It makes it so much easier to do because you already pray Maghrib. Another one, if you say, I will do more dhikr, say you want to do more dhikr. Rather than saying that, you can say, I will switch on the morning adhkar as soon as I turn on the car to go to work. So you go to work, let's say in this case, you go to work, you drive to work every day. It's already something you do. It's already part of your life. So if you say, I will be listening to the morning adhkar as soon as I switch on the car, you are going to be more likely to do it. A third example, I will give more charity. Again, that could be, all right, when will I remember to give charity? When will it happen? How much? So forth. But instead, if you say, I will give $50 in charity each time I receive my pay, again, it's like a cue as well. You're going to receive your pay, and as soon as you receive your pay, you're going to give $50 charity each time you receive your pay. So you can see how habit stacking can be very powerful because you're already doing certain things, or already certain things are already happening in your life, and so you just stack it on to that existing practice. It just makes it so much easier for you to create those new habits. Now, another thing that James Clear mentioned, which I found was very powerful, is that motivation is overrated. He says goals are overrated, but also motivation. He really hones in that our environment plays a huge role in what we do more than motivation. Yes, motivation is important for certain things, but if we create a certain environment, that can help us create good habits more than what motivation can. So we are more influenced by our environment than our willpower or motivation. And, yes, we do have willpower and, self-discipline. These are important. But if you exhaust your willpower on every single habit you're trying to create, then you can't save that willpower for things that you really need. So if you create an environment that helps you to create good habits, it will actually reduce the strain on your willpower. And your environment has cues. That's the thing. When our environment influences our behavior, so you do that. Like, if you go into the kitchen, for example, and on the bench top you see something, you're more likely to grab it and eat it. It's a cue. I might go into the kitchen. There's food on the bench top. I eat some. The fact that it's on the bench top is a cue for you to eat it. So if you want to create good habits again, you can make it easier by having cues around you. So if you want to drink more water, for example, place water bottles in different rooms. Okay, so if you're like, I don't drink enough water, it's a problem. Say put one next to your in your bedroom, put one in your office, put one in the lounge room, because it's everywhere. Each time you see it, you think, well, I've got to drink more water, so you're more likely to drink water. Floss daily. If you're like, well, I really don't floss daily and I should be, then put the floss next to the toothpaste rather than having it in the cupboard, out of sight, out of mind. If it's in the cupboard, you have to think about it. But if it's on the sink top, then you're more likely to do it. Say you want to read more Quran more regularly, place the Quran on your desk. You are more likely to read Quran if it's sitting on your desk than if it's tucked away in a cupboard, because it's, again, the cue is there. You see it and you're more likely to do it. Give more charity. Say, again, that's one of your aspirations. You want to give more charity. Place a sadaqah box on your kitchen table or somewhere that's visible. And that way, each time you have loose coins, you just put it into the sadaqah box. So that becomes a cue. You see it and you respond to your environment. So you can see how making these kind of minor changes, identifying what you want to change and making these minor changes can have a huge impact on your behavior. And another thing James Clear really highlights is one space, one use, and so this goes back to because they are cues. So if you've got in the lounge room, if you generally watch TV, then it's going to be hard for you to read in the lounge room, or in the bedroom, that's the place to sleep. But if you've got a TV in your bedroom, you're sending yourself mixed signals. It's like, okay, if when I'm in my room, do I sleep or do I watch TV? And so the idea is, to try to have separate locations where you do where you associate it with particular practices. So, and the thing is, you don't have to have a huge house to do this. You might think, well, I don't have the luxury. I don't have 4 or 5 rooms where I can have one room for studying, one room for worship, one room for eating, and so forth. In such a case, you can have sections. Like you can have one. You can have a chair that's sitting where that is where you do your reading. Or you can have a particular couch where you do your Quran reading. So what the key thing is, you link or you use one space predominantly for one practice, and that helps you to enable or do that practice. Because if you're in the lounge room, let's say, and you're trying to read Quran, but normally in the lounge room you watch TV, you're going to be tempted to switch on the TV or Netflix when you really want to read Quran. So one space, one use is a really good way of, I guess, influencing your environment, and doing things that you want to do. Uh, Another important point is, if you want to break a bad habit, make it invisible. So, it's sometimes, it's like, if you walk into a child walks into a lollipop shop and you tell them don't have a lollipop, it's quite difficult. Okay. Or if you're telling yourself don't eat junk food, and then you've got 3 types of junk food on your kitchen bench top, you're making it hard for yourself. So make it invisible. If you don't want to do something, make it harder. He gives some very good examples. For example, he talks about how when he goes to the office on his first day, he gets his secretary to change the password to all the social media, to all his social media. So, and then he doesn't get the password until Friday when he's leaving work. So Monday to Friday, basically, he doesn't have the password to his social media, and therefore he can't access it. So basically, it makes it invisible. Or he gives the example, if you're studying or working and you're distracted by your phone, put the phone in another room. Even if it's for 2, 3 hours, leave your phone in another room. And because it's out of sight and it's a lot of effort in a way to get up and go to another room to get it, you're going to be less likely to use it. And some other things you might do if you think you're spending too much time on social media, that you can remove the apps from your phone, because that would mean then you have to log onto your laptop and to see your social media through that. So you could make it invisible, and therefore you will not go on it as much. Again, eating too much junk food, with this example, don't keep junk food in the house. Just don't buy it. If you don't buy it, you're not going to be able to eat it. Yes, maybe once in a while you might go out of your way and pick it up, but you wouldn't eat it. Definitely you wouldn't eat it as much as you would if you had junk food easily accessible in your pantry every single day. So it's not there, so you can't eat it. So this is another good way of breaking a bad habit. Make it invisible. So think about, what bad habits do you have, and how can you make it invisible, which makes it harder for you to actually do that thing.